Does the UK need an RMC? It's 2025 and the RMC discussion is still ongoing. So, welcome to the Dispatch podcast here on Your Experience Guide. I'm Scott. This is Mark. Go on then, mate. Do we need an RMC?
I am 50-50 on this, because, like, I've ridden a lot now. I say a lot, like 20 if you want to include Fire in the Hole. But they are phenomenal coasters. And I don't think you can't get out of that. They build some of the best coasters in the world. But I just don't know if it's right for the UK market. And I think that's where I'm finding it really, really difficult, because if you look at the likes of Steel Vengeance, Iron Gwazi, Untamed, Zadra, incredible.
Yeah.
They are like the best, some of the best coasters on the planet. They really are so good.
Yeah. But
one, I don't know where it would go.
No.
If it was going anywhere, it would be Fort Park. But I just, outside of even now, I think about it, that the UK enthusiasts aren't the same about getting an RMC. It's all about getting an Intamin, getting a Mac. That RMC phase, I feel like, has gone.
Yeah, it has.
Has gone a little bit, even though when you see people going to America, it's like, I'm going to ride Steel Vengeance. Phenomenal, can't wait. And I just don't know. I find it really, really difficult to say, like, whether we should or shouldn't. But I don't know where they go. But if we did get one, it would probably be the best coaster in the country by some considerable margin, especially a massive one like Steel Vengeance or Iron Gwazi, Zadra. If you built that in the UK, they'd be like, best coaster.
So I'm going to look at this from a non-enthusiast point of view. Non-enthusiasts in the UK scrutinise everything on a safety level. Hyperia, it should have over-the-head restraints. Big one, it should have over-the-head restraints. This is not my opinion. This is what I read whenever I post anything on our social media about these attractions. If I ever post a video about the big one, it's, where's the restraints? It's like, it's got a lap bar. Oh, it needs more. No, it doesn't. And you see this for Hyperia. When they did the train reveal, people were like, oh, that's not going to keep me in. Oh, it will. It's just modern and it's different. But people still want that extra seatbelt. Sometimes they want the overhead restraint. And we've seen this with Poulton's Park with their Eurofighter announcement, because apparently, I wasn't there, I couldn't be there at the fan event. But apparently when they mentioned the restraints, they said it was going to be the overheads because it's what families want. Now, I actually disagree with that to a little bit, because with my son, if I show him a roller coaster or a ride with over-the-head restraints, he instantly assumes it's as he calls it, a big boy roller coaster. If I show him a roller coaster with a lap bar restraint, he's suddenly very switched onto it and thinking, oh, this is for me because I don't need one of those over-the-head restraints. So I think the issue with an RMC, from a visual perspective, they are big, ugly, loud roller coasters with very ugly trains that look very open, with weird-looking restraints. I just think that whilst us enthusiasts would be all over it, the general public would be like, oh, it's just a big wooden roller coaster. How is it any different to the Wicker Man, or how is it any different to other sort of old woodies? That's the issue you've got. I mean, you look at any new ride that gets announced in this country, and it is like, people just want to hate on it. As soon as Pleasure Beach announced a gyro swing, oh, I can go on that at my local fun fair. No, you can't. But this is the issue. This will always happen. And I think RMCs will be scrutinised so much that they just would not be a success here.
I kind of like agree with that. But even like they're the UK enthusiasts, I don't think there's a say. Maybe because like Zadra was that
2020, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. And obviously Untamed was 19. And there hasn't been anything really on a large scale RMC since. And I think that like phase of people wanting that has gone.
Yeah.
So I think that times has passed. But like when it comes to RMCs, you always think about the conversions.
Yeah.
And everyone will obviously goes like Grand National should be converted. Whether it can or can't, we'd end up with a small scale one.
Yeah, we
Similar,
would.
we'd end up with one that's like Wicked Cyclone,
Yeah.
Twisted Cyclone. We're on the smaller scales, and they are still good rides, but everyone would then complain, say, that's not the RMC that we wanted. We wanted one that was 300 foot, does
Literally.
10 inversions, 2 minutes of time. That's what we wanted. We didn't want one of them small scale ones. And I think that is where the perception of it would go with UK enthusiasts. It would have to be as tall as Hyperia and have multiple inversions and have a ride time of 10 minutes.
This is the issue. It's like, this just is so common. It's like, yes, we want a new coaster. Park announces it. Not that one. And we've seen it in so many instances. I mean, again, Poulton's Park, everyone was, for some reason, had got in their heads that they were going to build either a GCI roller coaster with a loop in it, or an inversion, or an RMC on more of a family scale. They're building a Eurofighter, a Gerstlauer Eurofighter. You can ride one in Southend. You can ride one at Fort Park. And people got all excited about that, but when it got announced, that excitement just disappeared. Like, people were excited to see the new area, but people were a little bit underwhelmed by that choice. And I think that whatever a park does, there will always be that little bit of, oh, it's not what I wanted. And that's just the way it is. And unfortunately, because our parks invest like nowhere near the level of what we see abroad, it just, anything that does happen, there's always going to be some disappointment because it's never what anybody actually wants. Like, people get excited about Fort Park's building a hypercoaster. Then they announce it's a Mack hypercoaster and they put the concept art and people are like, oh, what in Mako?
Yeah. Or what's a Shambhala?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, you're never going to please everybody. But I honestly don't think an RMC works in this country. For one of the reasons I mentioned before about the general public, but also we've got to look at RMC as a company. They have changed. Fred Grubb is no longer running the show. Alan Shilkey's gone. The people that were there for, all the people were there for like Steel Vengeance and the earlier ones. A lot of them are not there now. They've either retired or they've moved on or they've taken lesser responsibilities in the company. RMC is still there. They're very much still a possibility for parks, but I'm not seeing the same hype from the industry, never mind from us as enthusiasts, for RMCs now. And I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not a big fan of them. I'm sorry.
I mean, I love them. I think they're some of the best on the planet. But obviously, like, since like Alan Shillick and everyone left, he still built Early Force One.
Yeah.
Now, it's not the greatest park in the world to get to.
No.
But obviously, it doesn't get the hype that it should, because it is phenomenal. And you look at like Wildcat Revenge, again, one of the newer ones, it doesn't get a queue at Hershey.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't get a queue. It's like literally every time when I was there in August, it was walk on all day. Like, they had absolutely no queue at all. The fact that I just left my stuff in the lockers and just kept going round and round and round and round. And I get that it's more of a family park, but still it is a great coaster, but no one's still going on it as such.
No, well, I noticed that when I went in June, I think we waited 10 minutes because we did it first thing. But then later on in the day, Andy and Matt ended up lapping it because it was walk on. Whereas you went further inside the park and more of the family stuff was a bit busier. But I think that's the issue again. A lot of our parks are family focused rather than thrill focused, other than maybe Thorpe. Would it work at Thorpe Park? Potentially. But again, you've still got the issue at Thorpe with people moaning about the Hyperia restraints. And, oh, it's too high, it needs this, it needs that. And then obviously you've got other such things like throughputs to consider, because let's be honest, RMC throughputs are rubbish. And it's like, I personally would really like RMC coasters if the trains were different. I've said this so many times on this channel. I've been a little bit flaky with Steel Vengeance. Sometimes I've said it's the best thing ever, and then other times I've hated it. The last time I did it, I hated it to the point where my most recent trip to Cedar Point, I went, I'm all right, I'll watch, I'll hold the bags. And for me, it's just the seating. I don't like the seating. It's uncomfortable. The lap bars are horrible. And I just think if they had different trains, they'd probably be my favourite coasters. But it's the trains that put me off. But also on that subject, from a bigger picture point of view, the throughputs are crap. They really are. And it's not what you want in a park like Thorpe that already doesn't have amazing throughputs.
Like, for whatever, because obviously some parts allow you to pull it down and they seem to have the best
Yeah.
operations. Other parts, they've got to do it to make sure that you've tightened everything. But I really wish, from like a train point of view, I know that you don't like the lap bar, etc. But, and I know why these got changed, but the trains on
It's Iron Rattler.
Iron Rattler and the trains on New Texas Giant are so much more comfortable.
Yeah.
And they were made by Gerstlauer.
Yeah.
But they actually have a little bit of padding in the actual thigh part of the strength, and it just makes the whole experience a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah. So that's what I feel like that's what's needed, because you've got this rock hard lap bar that sits on your thighs, and it digs and it digs and it digs further down onto you as the ride's going. But also the sides of the train, there's no padding. It's like a solid hard edge. And it's basically like, for me, I'm banging like my ribs here off the side of whatever side I'm sat on. But at the same time, my thighs are getting battered from these lap bars. I mean, this is exclusive to me, but I've got a massive scar that runs down the side from basically my back and round to my front. That's why I don't enjoy Steel Vengeance, and that's why I hated it last June, because I sat on the left-hand side and got battered on it because my thighs got crushed and my scar tissue got hammered, and it was like, I can't do that again. So from a personal point of view, I couldn't care less if we never get an RMC for that reason. But on a bigger picture point of view, I can see why so many people want one. But also on another bigger picture, they're not that difficult to go and ride, the ones we've got already.
No, they're not. And like, the thing is, they're quite repetitive.
Yes.
Like, they're all, the odd tweak here and there, but vast majority are like, they offer a big outer bank, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, they have these little speed time hills and they have really good inversions, but there's not really been the innovation that from the earlier ones, from like New Texas Giant, Iron Rattler, to what they're now much of a muchness.
Yes.
So on that thing, it's like, yeah, I've ridden them, they are phenomenal, but not much has changed. The only other thing is maybe to consider, obviously, it would be a single rail.
Yeah.
No, obviously you've done one.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second, but I actually think you've made an interesting point about them being much of muchness, and I honestly cannot remember what video it was. I remember in one of Harry Coasterbot's videos, I'm going back like 3-4 years at least here, he said RMC's issue is they are too samey and it will become a problem for them further down the line. And I remember watching that video thinking, it'll be fine, Harry. They'll find a way of bringing new ideas to the table. But they haven't really, because when you go on Wildcats Revenge, it is a fantastic RMC coaster, but it doesn't do a lot else that you can't find on one that we've done elsewhere. Now, obviously, like you say, you've done 20. So it's like, if you've done 20, you must know how, like, I think I've done 10. And it's like, they are all much of muchness, like you say.
Yeah, obviously the height and the speed and things like that may change slightly, but if you put Wildcat Revenge and Untamed next to each other, it'd ride roughly similar.
Yeah, they would.
Just a different order of elements.
Yeah. If literally, like, if you line them all up on a car park and you did them one after the other, by the end of it, you'd be like, oh, I know what that's going to do before I've even sat in the train. Whereas with, like, what we're seeing on different stuff like, say, Intamin, whereas, like, yes, Taron, Tiger, Gotham City, Escape, Velocicoaster, they've all got the same trains and they've all got similar elements, but they've all got a little bit of uniqueness in there that just sets them aside. Like even Two Tatis with its backwards launch, they've all got that little bit of something that just makes them that little bit unique in their own way.
Yeah, because you look at Batman's got the smaller trains.
Yeah.
So it takes the elements a little bit whippier.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, when it comes to the RMC, they're all a standard train size and nothing really changes that much to what's out there.
Yeah, so I'll take you back to the single rail subject. I'm going to ask you, because it's me that's asking now, what did you think of Yoy at Wallaby Holland?
I was severely let down.
Where's my drink? I've lost my drink.
Down there. I like, when the POVs came out, I thought these are going to be very, very family. And they are very, very family.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what you think of Jersey Devil when we come to ride. That's obviously a bigger RMC, bigger trains. And I actually think on Yoy, if it had the longer trains, it would be better because
think?
because like on chill, which is my favourite side, I feel like going over some of the airtime hills with the longer train, you would end up with really good airtime. And I thought maybe it was the marketing of it as well that I look at chill and thrill, you're thinking thrill, yeah, thrill coaster, and you go on it. I found it quite forceless.
Yeah, I agree.
I found it quite yeah, it went through the elements nicely, but there was nothing about it. I just felt so let down.
It was very samey.
Yeah.
It spammed the inversions, and it was just like, I'll be honest, like you know this. I texted you when I was there, and I said to you, these are good coasters, but don't be expecting anything world class, because I think I said to you at the time, they're not in my top 10. They're not even trouble in my top 10. I can't even remember if I said it in a video. I actually think they're fun coasters, but they're not thrilling coasters, and I think this is a massive contradiction for me. But I think the lack of theming really lets them down. I've said many a time that I'm not like, oh, everything must be themed, but they've got nothing. They're just on like, maybe it'll come over time, but they're so bland. Like, they're so bland to look at. And that's before you even ride them. Like, the whole area for me was just like, well, it's clean and tidy. And, oh, yeah, you've opened up some new views of like Express Platform 13 and Goliath. But otherwise, it's kind of like, give me something.
I feel like I don't know what it was like for you though, but like now obviously they've got like plants in and around the area. I don't know if that was there when you was there, but
It wasn't a lot.
You can see over time that they'll probably grow in a lot like Untamed. Do you mind? Because Untamed now is like it feels like you're in this massive grass version. Like it's really really grown in from last time we did it. And I think that might come, but overall, like everything else, just lacked something.
Even the station was so bland. It was what I'd build on Planet Coaster.
It's just a box.
Yeah, because on Planet Coaster I don't do theming. It's like I could build the coaster, but then I hand the PlayStation control to Becca and I'm like, you do the theming, I'll make the brew. and that's basically how it goes. And I liked them. Don't get me wrong, I did like them, but I am in absolutely no rush to go back and do them again. Like, and also I think the seating position, and I know we were going to get to that anyway, and Jordan of Cupcakes and Coasters has literally mentioned it on Twitter and probably will do in a blog. The seating position is uncomfortable for us males, but for females,
especially if you're wearing a skirt,
even worse. Like
especially if you're wearing a skirt.
Yeah,
like I hadn't thought about it until Jordan. Like I was like, yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's really bad. And
yeah.
I remember saying to you, and I've said it overall, is like getting in and out of them trains is awful. And you sit there and you sat, and it's like you're riding a horse.
Yeah, it is.
It's just uncomfortable. Nothing seems to sit right on you at all.
It is a really awkward seating position. And I'll be honest, like, since I've done them, I mean, I wasn't excited for it anyway, Jersey Devil, but now I'm just like, I'm not interested. Like, I'll do it, obviously, but I've got, like, zero expectation for it.
You'll enjoy it more than the other two, because it's got longer trains, and on the back row, you do get thrown over.
Oh, okay. Back row it is.
You know what I mean? There's stuff like that, and that's why I think the longer trains may work. I feel like when they've gone chill and thrill, that it's not been marketed very well, because I think they're very family. The fact that when I was there, thrill actually had a bit of a queue. It was like 15 minutes, but chill was walk on.
Yeah.
And it literally, like, to the point where because there was nobody in there, like, do you want us to just stay in your seat and go again? Well, yeah, why not while I'm here?
Yeah, it's interesting you should say that, because on the preview day I went to, chill was walk on the whole time. Whereas, in fact, the only time it wasn't walk on was when everyone had finished spamming laps on thrill. They went, oh yeah, we better do the other one. Whereas I went to chill first, because I actually thought, looking at them from off-ride, I actually think chill looks better. But yeah, I think Wallaby Holland is a place that I really enjoy, but I think they've maybe got it a little bit wrong with Yoy. I think they could have done something better with that space.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I probably wouldn't want to see one in the UK either.
No, I mean, I'm going to put it out there. If Pleasure Beach announced that's what's replacing the Grand Prix, I'll probably be quite disappointed.
I'd certainly prefer the Intamin single rail. I think he's a better seating position. I actually think it's just a better ride in general. If they got one of them, I'd be like, yeah, happy days. But like, if they got an RMC single rail, I'd be like, how many have you ridden? Because just not that great.
I am kind of hoping with, obviously, with Pleasure Beach, we regularly see, for example, Andy going around and riding lots of different coasters as a hobby. I'm hoping that he'll see that the Intamin ones are maybe better. I've not done an Intamin one yet. I am hoping to change that eventually, but for me, they just look a bit more exciting.
Yeah, because like the thing is, like obviously it's got a bit of a launch, so it's not got the the anti rollbacks,
Yeah.
which is what causes the the
Yeah.
seating position. It just rides better because it's like sat in just a little bit of smaller version of a normal Intamin seat,
Yeah.
and then you get great air time. It's got good elements, and the final roll on Mahuka is up there with Velocicoaster for me. It's a phenomenal inversion. Whereas like the ones on Thrill, it just didn't whip me around as I
No.
expected to do. And maybe Flamingo Land will probably end up getting an RMC single rail, and it probably would fit the lineup, but it just wouldn't be very good.
Funnily enough, I was literally just going to say if you could see any UK park actually getting an RMC, whether it be more like Untamed or more like single rail or maybe the Wild Moose concept, where can you see it? And I was literally going to say, well, I think it might be Flamingo Land.
The single rail would fit the wacky lineup.
Yeah, it truly is a wacky lineup.
And let's be honest, they're not bothered about free puts either. So
Nope.
So it would actually fit their lineup, but it wouldn't be as good as Sick.
No.
And I don't particularly like Sick, but it still wouldn't be as good as that. I just, as an overall concept on like that family scale, I don't think works. And like when I was at Yoy, a lot of families were going on it and the kids were loving it. But when I look at like families over here, I don't see like a young child sitting on that front row of a single rail on their own.
No, they wouldn't. I can tell you I can't speak for everyone's kids, but I can tell you now my 7-year-old son would absolutely not go on Thrill or Chill because the very idea of saying to him, right, son, you're sitting on your own on this coaster, he'd be like, no, I'm all right, because he's still quite nervous on coasters. Yeah. But he's getting a lot better and more. I mean, he's talking about when I go on the big one, and I'm like, bring it on, because he's nearly at the height limit. But he's on about doing that, but he's got that security of being sat next to me while we do it. Whereas if we go on something else and he's sat on his own, I don't think he's going to like it as much. But like, he absolutely loves steeplechase, loves it. But he's sat with me, and because obviously I wrap my arms around him, and I'm sat at the back watching him getting thrown around on it, thinking he's going to hate this. Comes off it, that's the best ride ever. We're going again, and I'm like, oh no. And then now we have to lap it all the time.
But he wouldn't have that security on, especially because the trains are so open. And I find this pretty hard because, like, I don't think you quite get the experience on any other coaster where you're sat on your own, there's no train around you, you look to your left, there's nobody there, look to your right. It's quite a unique experience. You feel like it's just you and just being pushed along. And it's probably quite scary to...
I would imagine so, definitely. So normally at this point, I would say we're going to talk about the news, but we're actually filming this quite far in advance of when it's going to go on. Do you want to talk about the America event?
Where'd
you start?
Where'd you start? And like, I suppose Six Flags Great Adventure. I think it'll be a great way to start the event. I was lucky enough in last year to be able to ride car.
Yeah.
Which is quite sad. And I suppose like when I look at it, I remember you saying, get loads of pictures of car and we'll help sell the event with pictures of car. And to be honest, that's the only reason I went on. I was like, I can take loads of pictures of car going down the launch and everything else, and it's quite sad that it's gone.
I do feel awful about it, like from a personal point of view, because the trip should have taken place in 2024, and I take full responsibility for it being moved because when we were like basically in the driving seat to get that trip that we're doing this year, last year on sale, this is going back to 2023. I had a health scare, which was quite serious one at the time, considering my health history of having a massive battle with cancer for 2 years. And something happened where my consultant absolutely bricked it because of a blood test that I did. And they were like, we think you've got it again. So you've got to start having all your tests and stuff again. So it was like, I said to you and Mark, didn't I? You and Mike, I said, look, you guys can go ahead with the trip, but I can't commit to it. And collectively we agreed that it was better to move it to 2025, given that we thought, right, I've probably got this battle again. As it happens, I went and had all these additional tests, and they went, oh, it's just something else. And at that point, we'd emailed everyone and said, trip's off. It's going to be the year after. It'll be fine, though, because by that time, this part will have opened this coast, so this part will have done that. King Dakar will still be there. And we were like, it'll be fine. We'll just move the trip back a year. It'll be no problem. There might be more creds for us to do. As it's happened, and even though you can't control these things, I feel completely responsible because obviously Six Flags Great Adventure has lost a lot of attractions that they had last year that they don't have this time. So whilst it is going to be amazing still to go to that park for people that have not been and to do El Toro and stuff, for me, that whole day is going to be filled with regret knowing that I have probably cost everyone a ride on King Dakar. So Stephen calls me the Terminator because of it. He says every time you organise a trip to America, a strata coaster dies. Yeah, I'll be back.
I just think that when we go, there'll be part of me like I'll be dead excited to go on with the group on El Toro on Jersey Devil because I think that it's a great one that you can see everyone going out the station on their own, and the Toro was just it's a massive wooden coaster that's phenomenal. I know you don't agree, but I will be lapping that thing at the back, so my thighs will be
another go, mate.
The thighs will be that, but like when you look at it and we'll be pulling in and there won't be this big green coaster, part of me a little bit sad, or like when you stood and you're looking out, the iconic photo that everybody gets.
It's fine because the Arrow Mine Train's still there, so it's still an iconic photo, clearly.
Just we'll have the big green thing in the background. But I still think it'll be a great day. I personally think it's a great park. It'd be good to get on the Flash early. It'd be good to get on Batman, give Nitro another go. The log flumes are always a good place, and it hasn't. Obviously, did it because it opened when I was there in August. It had been closed all year. They'd spruced it up, so it'd be good to see that again.
Yeah, I will have a good day. I'm certain of it. It's just there will be that overriding feeling of regret knowing that my doctor basically cost everyone a ride on King Dakar. But to be fair, I understand why they panicked because it basically I've not got enough organs left to have that battle again. So I think they thought we may need to make sure that doesn't happen. What happened last time? But like I say, for me, that vlog's going to be interesting. Like you might have to you and Andy might have to carry that vlog because I might be quite miserable that day. I'll try not to be.
I'll be really happy because I'll be sat on El Toro for about 2 hours.
Yeah, so it's basically going to be an El Toro vlog.
Yeah, like is El Toro good for the 200th time in the day?
The El Toro Challenge, presented by Mark and Chris Jackson.
The thing is, like, obviously, it doesn't get talked about as well. It'd be good to get back on Medusa. I don't think it wasn't Medusa when we went, was it?
No, it was Arrow.
Yeah, so it'd be good to get back on that. I think it's just got a really good collection of rides.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with Justice League. Great ride.
Yeah, that's the dark ride, isn't it? Yeah, that was really good. So we move on, and the next day we're going to Morris Pier, Morris Piers, sorry. 3 piers, 2 water parks. We've got quite a lot to do in a couple of hours, but for me, I've always actually been interested in going to this place, but it's always been so far from anything. So I thought, put it in on the trip. It's the kind of place that everyone will look at and be like, it's fun, but it's not going to be the best day. But then when you get there, the atmosphere amongst everyone will be amazing, and I feel like it'll be a top day.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great day. Like, there's something special about going on a woody on a beach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, it's got new trains on it as well, hasn't it? So it'd be good to experience that. I think that like broad walks, I think they're a really good atmosphere. Obviously, in June, I went and did Chemo Boardwalk. Again, another great thing. So I'm expecting this to be just as good, and it'd be good to have several laps on the woody to do it.
Absolutely. I think is it the Great White that's called? Yeah. And then obviously you've got what is considered to be the world's best Vekoma SLC. It gets retracked quite a lot. It's got modern trains, and they really, really look after it. And apparently it's really good.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Like, I think with the Vekoma SLCs, in all honesty, they're one of the best coaster layouts.
Yes.
That it's compact. It got inversions. It's forceful. and it's just sometimes really let down by how bad the trains are.
Yeah.
And that. So if they do loads of work on it, it'll be.
Yeah, I mean, I've read so many things about it being like the best SLC, but things have been wrong before, so we'll see.
We'll see how it goes.
But yeah, moving on. After that, we've got Six Flags America, which is in fact closing at the end of this year. So this is basically, I don't know, have you been?
I've not been. You know what you're going to get from a Six Flags park. I feel like it'll be good because, as we mentioned in an earlier video, we'll get to ride Superman at
New England.
New England. Now it would be good because they've actually got new trains as well now for the one at Six Flags America. I believe that it's still got the actual T-bar restraints, so it'd be good to compare it to the Frankenstein one that's at New England. So the Superman ones, they are a great layout, and I think I still think it'll be a great coaster to go and ride and before it goes, because I don't see it getting relocated anywhere. So, and it's got, I want to say Wild Thing.
Yeah, the wild one, the Woody.
Wild,
it looks really good. It's meant to be really good.
Yeah, so it'd be good to get on that as well. So overall, I think it'll be a good way to spend a few hours.
Absolutely. And I think next it's Busch Gardens Williamsburg, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Yeah.
Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, I mean, get me on that thing. I mean, Loch Ness Monster is why I've bought FastPass, because this might be the one and only time I go to this park. And Loch Ness Monster is probably one of the only bucket list coasters I've got left to do out of my big list. I did a video about it a couple of years ago, which for some reason you watched the other day. And I was really shocked when you commented on that, by the way. But yeah, it was just like, Loch Ness for me is it's right up there as a coaster I really want to do.
Yeah, it's one of them. Like, I remember, when you're on Roller Coaster Tycoon and you always used to interlock the loops. And there it is in Loch Ness Monster. I think it'll be a great way to spend a whole day there.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you've got Loch Ness Monster that's a Will Lap. You've got Pantheon as what, good intimate. If it's anything like Two Titus,
yeah,
it'll be good. You've got the original B&M Hyper, isn't it? With
Apollo's Chariot. Yeah.
So sometimes it'll be good to see where they went from to where they are now. I don't expect it'll be a great hyper coaster, but it'll just be nice to experience the original one.
Definitely. I think as well for me, obviously we know on that day that we're going, it's going to be a public holiday. I don't know if it's a national one or just a national holiday. So this is why we've got FastPass, but also we've got ARTs in the morning. So we've got an hour's private hire of 4 different coasters in one area of the park, including Pantheon. And then a little bit later in the day, we've got a behind-the-scenes tour of both Dark Coaster and something else, which I'm not saying for definite in video in case it changes. But whatever the other one is, we basically get front-of-line access on those coasters too. So to do Dark Coaster behind the scenes and then be able to just walk straight on it will be fantastic.
Yeah, well, because it's not got great throughputs.
No.
So it'd be good to go on that. I think it'll be okay. And obviously they've got the B&M Invert Alpengeist. One of the bigger models. If it's anything like Cartoon, it'll be a great ride. But overall, I think it's a park that I've wanted to visit for such a long time.
Yes.
And to be able to work it into the event, great.
The event was definitely sort of focused on this area of doing here and the next park, King's Dominion. It was like, we have to get these parks in, because if we're doing an event in this area, these two have to be in there, because we may never get the chance again, 1, to put them in an event, and 2, to actually go to them. So it was like, it's got to be done.
Yeah, it has, and I think it'll be an absolutely phenomenal 12 hours.
Yeah. And then, of course, like I say, King's Dominion next, which I'll be honest, I'm not too hyped about this park. I'm a little bit worried it's going to be like King's Island. As you probably know, I'm not the biggest fan of King's Island. And when I look at pictures of this park, I'm thinking, is this just going to be another King's Island with a different name in a different area? But still, I'm excited to try some of the coasters. Raptera. Is it Raptera?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Something like that.
We better learn before the vlog anyway. But we've got an ERT on that, so I'm looking forward to that. We're supposed to have a walk around sort of behind-the-scenes tour of Intimidator 305, which has obviously been rebranded to Pantherian.
but it's still not open
But
yet.
it's not open yet. So, yeah, that's a bit of a worry. Like, there's rumours it's not going to open until August, which for me is absolutely ridiculous. But if we don't get on it, then I really have lived up to my Terminator name for event trips.
I'll be devastated.
Yeah,
It would be a one and done for me because I just think it'll be too intense for my liking, and I probably will black out on it. But obviously, you got Twisted Timbers, a smaller scale RMC, so it'd be good to experience that. I think it'll be a pleasant way. I'm gutted though that the Terminator struck and the arrow looper went. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, Anaconda's gone too. See, I will be back. So the next day is a bit of a travel day. Well, a big travel day, but a bit of a stop and do some parks, which are very small scale. We've got Adventure Park USA, which was very much your idea. So if it's terrible, it's your fault.
I mean, it's terrible. It's one of them when we was planning the trip that is like, it's such a long way to, the next major part that we're going to. The driver would have to stop. So like, okay, where can we stop?
Yeah.
It's a paper ride, so he's literally like, I only have to pay once per, coaster that I'm doing.
So I think having that day where we are on the coach for most of the day, but having 2 small stops at parks is probably going to be a fun day because I think the atmosphere on the coach will be good. I think people will have a chance to relax. People will have a chance to watch films on their tablets or their phones, have a chance to have a sleep, have a chance to mingle and talk to people that perhaps they've not had a chance to have a proper chat with yet on the trip. So for me, I think it's not going to be we're just traveling all day. It's going to be boring. I feel like everyone will be occupied one way or another. And then you've got the 2 park stops too.
I agree.
And we could have just gone, we're just going to do the drive and not do any parks, which I just think it would have been a little bit, that would have made it boring because driving to Adventure Park USA, we're going to have a laugh about what's potentially there. And there's going to be some nonsense
it'd be like, how bad's this going to be?
Exactly. It's like the jokes and the nonsense leading up to it's going to be hilarious because there's just going to be so much laughter and silliness leading up to it. And then after it, between now and Dutch Wonderland, that's going to continue like, oh, did you go on that ride and stuff like that? So it's going to be quite funny.
Yeah, it is. It'd be a good way to, especially with it being a Saturday as well that we're travelling on. It just not going to a big park on a Saturday, always a winner.
And then the Nobles.
Absolutely. If we just like, it reminds me a lot of Waldermere.
Yeah,
it is a great place to. It is your classic American amusement park of Waldermere, and Phoenix. Well, it's phenomenal. It really, really is. And little buzz bars. Yeah, I'll be as you can see, obviously the POVs on Facebook. It's really difficult. I can't wait to see you and Andy to try and.
I've got this.
I've got this, and then all of a sudden he's like, I've got no restraint for about like 6 inches, and you're trying to hold the camera steady, and you'll be bouncing around. It'll be great. But overall, the atmosphere on the ART on Phoenix will be phenomenal because it is such a good coaster. It really, really is.
I can't wait. I mean, we've got an hour's ERT on Phoenix to start the day. We've got an hour before the park opens, and I'm just imagining the atmosphere that morning. Everyone charging around for re-rides, everyone excited. That buzz in the station on the morning of the ERT is just going to be that is going to be an electric atmosphere that morning. And for me, it's a part that I have been desperate to go to for years. I would have done it last year on the June trip that I did, but with it in mind that we'd got the event this year, I was like, no, leave it for one more season. So I'm shocked that something's not been removed because of that. But I'm looking forward to doing Twister too.
Twister's great.
Yeah.
It really is good. It's just a good park. And the thing is, it's reasonably priced as well for paper ride. Because, like, memory serves me right, Phoenix was $4.50.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I mean? And that's genuinely, you can just have a great time, and it's not overly priced. It's just a great atmosphere. It's got all for families. It's just brilliant. It really is such a good place.
I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a great day. And I do believe that we can film on ride POV. So there will be a vlog. There'll be POVs. There'll probably be an All Coasters at Knobles video that follows. I'm so excited to go. What's next?
Next after that, Dorney Park.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed my visit last year. Genuinely really enjoyed it. It's one of them parks that it's kind of like lost in the Cedar Fair chain. or Six Flags chain it is in now, because obviously in that area you've got King's Dominion, Great Adventure, Cedars up the road, and it's kind of like lost amongst that, but it's got its own little charm about it. Talent is probably the best B&M invert I have ever ridden.
I'm looking forward to it.
It is phenomenal. If you've got Iron Menace in there, it's okay. You've got a classic one. It was turned 100 last year from the Hawk.
Oh, nice.
It turned 100, a classic wooden coaster, and you've got the Morgan Hyper as well. It's just it will be a great park to visit.
Yeah, and then lastly on the event we've got Hershey Park, which again we both did last year, obviously at different times. There is a vlog from there on the channel. I will link it somewhere in the top of the screen. I can never remember which side it is. But yeah, I'll link it in the top of the screen. We had a fantastic day. We actually turned up there last year thinking that we'd need Fast Pass, and we turned up and the car park was pretty empty, and we managed to sort of blitz the park really quickly. We got everything done that we wanted to do. We managed to get some really nice food from the centre of the park where they did really nice fresh cheeseburgers, which I was delighted about. And then you walked out and you sat on this balcony and you just saw rides everywhere. And it was just like, we have still got a lot to do.
It's just a great park. Obviously, like when we leave Dorney, we're going to head to Hershey for a couple of hours so that everyone can just sample the park. Because that's one of the things I like about it is like you can, if you buy a day ticket, you can literally, they call it like a preview where you go and spend a couple of hours before park, last 2 hours before it closes, and just sample it. It's a great family park. It really is. I genuinely enjoyed my day there. The family attractions do get busy, or they were busy when I was there. Like Comet had a massive queue.
That's a great Woody though.
It is. But then you've got Skyrush. It's great intimate next to it. That's basically walk on.
We need. Oh, just thinking about Matt laughing about Skyrush, isn't it? I'm just thinking about him laughing about he's got a thing about the station. I'll let him tell you in a vlog at some point. But yeah, he loved that ride for more than just the ride. That's all I'm going to say. And he'll be sat laughing to himself now. But I'd like to do that when I'm not knackered, because we went on that right at the end of our day and I was feeling like a little bit tired from that day. So I feel like this time, and I'm sure you'll be fine with it, I'm thinking that's where I'm going to go to first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just think that park layout is not great, but overall I think it's a great park, and we'll head down, we'll do Skyrush early, so it's not as intense, and I just think I genuinely think it's a great park. That they've got a great collection of rides. They've got the two Woodies, obviously got the RMC.
The log flume's interesting.
Did
you go on it?
I didn't do it. Did I? No, I didn't.
The boats are weird.
I looked at it from from Great Bear, isn't it? I was like, I'm not doing that.
It's interesting. All I'm going to say is the log flume boats are not like logs. So they're really like these little weirdy shaped things, but they're like back heavy. So when you hit the water at the bottom, you kind of just sort of glide over it and you don't really get wet because the water just sort of scoops outwards, which is, well, it's not really what you want in America. You want to get wet in America. So it's just like, oh, okay, I'm not going to get, I couldn't be bothered to walk around and do it again because I was like, I'm not going to get wet the second time either. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And then that is the end of the event. And I'm certain it's going to be a fantastic time. Now, stupidly, I couldn't decide at the end of this on like a post trip if to do Cedar Point or do Florida to go and do Epic Universe, because at the time of planning all this, I didn't think I'd go to Epic Universe in April and May of this year. I thought, I'm not going to go to the opening. We're not going to get on the press day or anything for it because that's just not going to happen for Epic Universe. So I thought, no, I'm not going to do that, but I need to go fairly early in its run, so I'll go in June. Then obviously the previews came up for pass holders, and it's like, oh, I'll go for them instead. So it does feel a little bit silly going to Epic Universe again so soon and going later in the year with you, Craig and Andy. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting to compare it to how it was when it was preview, because obviously now it's fully open. So that'll be interesting. But I am kind of regretting not going to Cedar Point in June with you after it.
You'll find me on Magnum, mate.
You will be getting muted, my friend, because I know I'll be getting a lot of messages about it, because obviously there's no vlog to show for it. But when we did go to Orlando a couple of weeks ago, we actually day tripped it to Cedar Point from Orlando. which meant we had to drive from Universal's hotel down to Tampa. We then got a flight to Cleveland, drove to the Cedar Point from Cleveland, got there, and there was only 4 coasters open all day, and one of them wasn't Magnum or Top Thrill 2, and I'm still very salty about it. But for everybody's entertainment, here is the footage of Top Thrill 2 constantly rolling back. So I think that about wraps it up for us in this podcast episode. So the vlogs from this trip will be coming to the channel soon. It's obviously very dependent on time after all of our days in the parks and obviously internet signal. Let us know what you think about the RMC in the UK situation. Is it ever going to happen? Should it happen? Let us know in the comment section below. If you have enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button. There's a little thumbs up below. Please subscribe. Many thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.